Welcome in to More with Moeller. My name is Craig Moeller, and we're going to take a deeper dive into weather. You know, we normally are going to do this at 10:30, but we actually had a little scheduling issue in our main studio. So today I'm coming to you from our digital weather studio, and I got a lot of great information as we dive in and take a closer look at what's going on around the country and really in this case around the world. I'll remind you this is always free programming. We're happy to provide it for you, and we're going to start off with a look at some of our headlines. Let me go ahead and just tell you again, Craig Moeller here. I'm happy to join you on this Halloween. Hopefully your Halloween is off to a great start no matter where you are around Hampton Roads, Northeast North Carolina. Maybe you're somewhere else in the Commonwealth, somewhere across the United States, or even joining us internationally. We love to have you here. And again, Halloween, a lot to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and jump in to our topics. Here we go. We have Halloween and Election Day forecast updates from not only here in Hampton Roads, but from across the nation. We're going to let you know who may see some wet weather come Election Day on Tuesday. And of course, Halloween trick-or-treating, such a big time for all the little kiddos wanting to go out. Unfortunately, if you have not heard, there has been catastrophic flooding in Spain. Over 95 fatalities, and those numbers are still counting as rescuers and people working to recover those victims of that flooding are still going through the aftermath. And there is more rain there in Spain. I'm going to show you what's happening there. We'll talk a little bit more about what they saw. I'm also going to wrap up some of the Midwest severe weather we saw yesterday. If you joined me yesterday for our More with Moeller, or what we were calling 13 Weather Plus, I can tell you that it was one of those situations. We saw it all coming together. We talked about the severe weather threat back across portions of the Midwest, and we got that line. I'll show you where the line is now and how it's evolving, how it will impact Halloween tonight for kids, and where that line is moving next. So a lot to go over right there. We'll go ahead and take a look currently at the situation as we get into not only the Midwest situation, but this ongoing drought for parts of the Ohio River Valley and then into Hampton Roads. We have the brand new, just released U.S. Drought Monitor. Comes out every Thursday morning at 8:30. So we're going to continue to watch that, and we'll see how things go with the new drought monitor. Could there be something brewing in the tropics? That, too, one of those topics that we're going to dive into as we go along. I want to start off by talking a little bit about the weather we've been having here in Hampton Roads. And in case you're wondering, well, where's Hampton Roads, Craig? I'm not sure what that is. Well, Hampton Roads is where several bodies of water come together in southeast Virginia. You've got the Chesapeake Bay, you've got the Elizabeth River, you've got the James River, you've got the York, you've got all of these bodies of water. It's right at the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay where it opens up into the ocean. And this confluence is called Hampton Roads. So for southeast Virginia, we refer to the metro area as Hampton Roads. We'll take a look at the almanac. Yesterday we made it up to 81 degrees. So that was for Norfolk, Virginia, and Virginia Beach, all of this area, right around 81. Very warm. You can see normal, 67. No rain. We're just a little bit more than 2 inches above average for the year. But when you take a look at the month of October, you see a different story. Look at this. We had our ups and downs temperature-wise, but when it came to precipitation, we had rain on the 1st. We had 5/100ths of an inch. We had 1/100th of an inch on Wednesday, and we've been dry ever since. No measurable precipitation for Hampton Roads for 4 weeks. So here we are, 28. Today will be the 29th day in a row with no rain at the airport. Now, I've mentioned this the past couple of days when we've done these updates. Hampton Roads, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, we're not alone, all right? Atlanta has been extremely dry. It's been very dry up in New York and Philly, some of these bigger cities up along the northeast U.S. We've seen that. There's been some rain for some areas off a little farther to the north of that. But the bottom line is there is much of the country that is really lagging in rainfall. So we're going to take a look at the brand new drought monitor. As of last week, we were just considered in this kind of level 1 or abnormally dry state. So that was the condition for Hampton Roads and for Norfolk, Hampton, Williamsburg areas, down through Elizabeth City. The area was just abnormally dry. You go another week without another drop of rain, and now we have moderate drought for the eastern shore, the northern neck, the middle peninsula, the peninsula, and areas near the coast along Southside Hampton Roads. That includes parts of the city of Isle of Wight and also Suffolk, Chesapeake, Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, and then northeast North Carolina around the Albemarle Sound. As we expand the view, maybe you're checking us out right now from West Virginia or up around Ohio. There you have extreme to exceptional drought. Very, very dry up that way, although some rain is pressing through the areas. We'll take a look at the radar here in a moment. Notice also severe drought around Delaware, parts of Maryland, and that extends up through southern New Jersey. So much of the eastern seaboard has been dry. We are now slipping into drought. We have that exceptional drought along the Ohio and West Virginia state line there. There's also extreme drought for southwest Missouri, parts of Oklahoma, parts of Texas. You get into West Texas, not too far from El Paso, just off to the east and southeast there, you get into exceptional drought back across Texas. Now for the upper Midwest, again, severe drought, several locations, parts of Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, up into Wisconsin. You get into the Arrowhead of Minnesota. Very, very dry conditions. And then you get into extreme drought when you head into western parts of the Dakotas, into Wyoming, down into north central Colorado. It's just been extremely dry. The West Coast hasn't had as big a problem relative to their normal conditions, but it is dry for much of the western U.S. Let's come back to Hampton Roads, and I'm going to talk about this because we have a situation where, as I mentioned, we haven't had any rain in Norfolk, Virginia at the airport. That's the official reporting station and measuring gauge for Hampton Roads. So we haven't had any rain since October 2nd. It's been a long time. As we take a look at this graph, you can see the top 5 years with the longest periods without any measurable precipitation. Given today being dry, and it will be, high pressure is in control, today will be day 29. So 2024, with the stretch we're in right now, ties 1964 when they had a stretch of 29 days. If we stay dry tomorrow, and there's a question, we may or may not stay dry tomorrow. If we do, we'll tie 1986 with a 30-day stretch of dry weather. And here's the thing. If we don't have dry weather, or if we don't have rain, I should say, tomorrow, and it stays dry tomorrow, the next several days after that will be dry. And if that's the case, no rain tomorrow, then we will see the record, the longest period without measurable rain at Norfolk International. And the current record is 33 days set back in 2000. Now you take a look at the 7-day rain chances, and again, this is for Norfolk. You can see there's less than an isolated chance. I mean, there might be a few stray sprinkles. It's only about 20% the chances there on Friday. We would then get to 30 days if we don't get any rain on Friday. Saturday would be 31, Sunday 32, Monday 33. That would tie the record for the longest dry period in Norfolk. And then you look ahead, Tuesday would be 34, Wednesday 35. Right now it looks like we will see some rain on Thursday. So that should bring about an end. And there's a chance we might see a shower passing by the airport. It's only going to take one shower over the airport, adding up more than a trace of precipitation. You get to 1/100th, the streak of dry days ends. So that's what we're looking at. All right, right now we'll take a look at the outlook across the country, and I want to get into this. So we'll take a look here, first of all, the precip outlook. Now, we've been dry throughout the month of October. Obviously, very, very dry. Just incredible how dry the entire eastern half of the country has been with high pressure and control. Pattern looks like it's going to change as we go out beyond the 7-day forecast. I mentioned by next Thursday, there may be some showers across the area. Once you go out 8 to 14 days, the southeast U.S. looks to be a little wetter than normal, and the west and the parts of the south central U.S. also wetter than normal. Talking about much of Texas, Oklahoma. These areas, they need rain as well. Kansas, southern Colorado, New Mexico, and Arizona all expected to have wetter than normal conditions. Drier than normal for that same time period, November 6th through the 14th, up around the Great Lakes region. As we look at the temperatures, you can see it looks like it's going to be warmer than normal. Again, these are just outlooks, general ranges, maybe a little cooler down over southern parts of California and Arizona, but most of the country, about 3/4 of the country, look to be above average as we go through that 8 to 14 day period out from now. So a lot to look at. Now, we were talking about those big Midwest storms and just how crazy the weather was yesterday. I'm going to set this up by taking a look at the highs from yesterday. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll go ahead and cut right to it so you can see the high temperatures observed yesterday. Quite warm. St. Louis, Chicago up to 80 degrees. I'm a huge Chicago Bear fan, and I watch a lot of the media out of Chicago. They've all been raving about how warm it's been. Really no problems here with any cold weather there, but a powerful front came through and that triggered storms. So this is a look at the satellite and the radar over the last 18 hours. You see that line that pushed through Missouri, coming through Illinois. You see the wet weather heading across Indiana right now and eventually approaching Ohio. So it is interesting. We're going to be watching this all very carefully as this line moves in. This area back here, as I mentioned, Ohio and West Virginia need some rain. Looks like they're not going to get quite the heavy rain that they saw out across parts of the central U.S., but they do have a chance for some showers. So that's something, of course, we'll keep a close eye to. Now, this storm system, it produced a lot of rough weather. I'll stop it here for just a second. You can see the rain right now falling across Indiana, southern Illinois, into the Boot Heel region of Missouri. Not severe at this point. You can see wet weather all the way down through Arkansas and still a line of very impressive storms down across the southern part of Arkansas and back down into Texas, just east of Dallas. So this is where the most intense rainfall is. You'll also notice some snow flying back across parts of Minnesota. So again, colder air is working around on the backside of this system. We've got this area of low pressure that's bringing in the cooler winds on the backside of that system. So we're going to continue to, of course, watch all of this very, very carefully for you as it moves along. And this is what we're dealing with. We do have the chances, it looks like, for this wet weather to keep working eastward. Now, when it came through the central U.S., and this is over the last 12 hours, I'm actually going to back it up to where we get into some of the previous storm reports. Look at all the reports of wind damage back across parts of Kansas and northwest Missouri. Numerous reports of trees down. There were power lines down, damages to sheds. I saw a report of some damage to some docks there, a lake there. I believe that was in Oklahoma. A lot of wind damage with those storms. There were numerous tornado warnings. I don't have reports, storm reports official from the National Weather Service and the spotters networks of confirmed tornadoes at least showing up in this. But there was a lot of outflow, and that line, as it moved along, kind of bowed out. There were some bow echoes, and that created a tremendous amount of damaging wind. So severe weather across parts of Oklahoma through Kansas back into the northwest part of Missouri and southern Iowa. Now, as we take a look here, we'll go ahead and show you the map again and how things have progressed as we've gone overnight. You get additional reports coming in early this morning, and then you see some of them on the backside start to fade away. Some reports of rain around St. Louis, a lot of rain back across Wisconsin, some heavy periods of rain and some gusty winds. But the worst of the damage, it looks like, from parts of Oklahoma and Kansas yesterday up into northwest Missouri and into parts of Iowa. So that's where the rough weather was. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Again, we do have an area of low pressure moving along, and that is going to be the case as we get into our future cast and check things out with how this line continues to move. You saw where it was this morning. Now as we're going late morning and into the afternoon, you'll notice that line still capable of producing some pretty intense rainfall down here along this line, especially parts of the deep south, Mississippi, into Louisiana. All of these times that you see here, these time stamps, this is Eastern time. So you take an hour off for Central. This will be around 3 o'clock. All right. As we shuttle it forward just a little bit, now we're getting into, say, 5 o'clock Central. You're still looking at opportunities for rough weather back across parts of Louisiana. Again, approaching New Orleans, through Mississippi, Central Tennessee, Central Kentucky. It's going to be a pretty messy situation there. By 6 o'clock Central Time, still very heavy rains potentially for parts of Alabama, northern Mississippi, and I think we'll still see some scattered wet weather. In fact, I think we can take a look down along the Texas coastline. Houston's going to be unsettled as well. Things are looking better along the East Coast, so good weather for trick-or-treating. You'll notice some scattered wet weather for the north central U.S. and back across the western part of the country. So when we get into the Halloween and the trick-or-treating forecast, I'll share some temperatures with you as well. All right, I mentioned the storminess that we've been seeing back in the central part of the country, the Midwest. That was yesterday. I want to talk to you now about what's happened over in Spain. Tremendous amounts of rain, all right? The Mediterranean Sea, the air near the Med is very, very warm, and they've had abnormally warm conditions, a lot of humidity coming off. When you get warmer temperatures, there's more carrying capacity in the atmosphere for more humidity. So the atmosphere was very warm, it was very muggy, and they had a system come through where it opened up and there were slow-moving downpours where some places, one area in particular I was reading about around Valencia in Spain, they had in some of the towns in that area, that region, were picking up almost a year's worth of rain in a handful of hours. So tremendous catastrophic flooding over there, and I want to show you what's happening over there right now. So let's go back to the maps. We'll take a look at that, and we'll fly across the pond over towards Spain. Now you see Madrid here, and I've got this identified, this marker. Of course, we have Barcelona, we've got Valencia in this region down in through here, still seeing some wet weather. The rain is not as heavy as it was, but they still have some unsettled weather to deal with. There's an area of low pressure spinning right over in this area here. I'll go ahead and highlight that with the pointer. Right in here, there's another surface low, little weak surface low down here. And there's a stationary front, which kind of extends up in this area, and then it turns into a warm front. So I'll put that on the map for you. Again, rain continues for portions of Spain, especially this area right in here. We're getting some more rain. It's light to moderate. It's not as heavy as it has been, but this area was just ravished with the extreme rainfall. Again, Europe's deadliest flooding since 2021, and it may go down as Spain's worst. We're going to see when all is said and done, they continue to recover. Death toll, I mentioned earlier, could continue to rise as searches continue through the day. This afternoon and evening, those searches are ongoing in Spain. Roads are closed. There are halted rail services. And again, this storm system was just tremendous. So feel really, really bad for the folks here. Farms were just really hit hard in that Valencia province, that area. And that's a region that is a key orange producer, according to a report I read on Reuters. So again, that's the situation over in Spain. All right, for our area, we're going to come back to the U.S. and we're going to talk about Halloween and what you can expect here in the United States, the lower 48. All right, I showed you there's still unsettled weather down across Louisiana, parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. This is kind of early mid-afternoon. Take this area of wet weather, shift it a little farther to the east, and take a look at our daytime highs today. Again, New Orleans dealing with wet weather. Atlanta, going to be dry. Trick-or-treaters should be in pretty good shape heading out this evening, although that rain will be approaching later from the west. Raleigh looks good. New York City looks good. Boston, not bad either. As we look in the central U.S., St. Louis is now clear of all that rain that came through earlier this morning. As we look forward to the evening, they'll be in good shape. Cooler air will settle in. Chicago, still some wet weather early in the afternoon, but later in the day, things should be improving, hopefully, as we get into the evening. There may still be some showers for those kids to dodge in Chicago. Minneapolis, unsettled, and with cooler air moving in, maybe some mixing going on there. Oklahoma City, Dallas, all looking better now that the storms have passed your area. Yesterday, parts of Oklahoma paid the price. Now they will enjoy nicer weather. Finally, out west, things looking good for LA and Phoenix. Beautiful around Vegas. You can see some unsettled weather for the northwest. Seattle could be wet. I think we are going to see some unsettled weather there and potentially into the trick-or-treating. Now, here in Hampton Roads, I always got to take care of the folks that are tuning in because a lot of our viewership comes from people that watch me every day. You can find me on 13 News Now at Monday through Friday every single morning. I love working the mornings. It's a shift I choose to do because I love it so much. And we start our days here. So folks are asking, Craig, what about trick-or-treating in Hampton Roads? A few ways we're going to look at this, and then we're going to get back into the election weather. So if you're interested in that, stay with me here just for a minute or two. All right. For trick-or-treating tonight, temperatures are going to fall from the mid-70s around 6 p.m. back down into the low 70s at 7, and then by 8 o'clock as the trick-or-treating winds down, a lot of the cities mandated ends at 8 o'clock, so the folks will be bringing in their candy at that point. All right, 71 degrees, clear skies. Now, that's a general view, kind of hour by hour, but that's just one location. You see the wind southwest at 10 to 15. Okay, another way we can do this is by taking a look at the wet weather, or at the holiday forecast hour by hour. So let's do that for you right now. If somebody is in Norfolk, yeah, I just showed you, it's going to be around 76 degrees at the start of trick-or-treating. If you're up in Newport News, it's 74. Kids up at Melfa, 70 degrees. This is around 6:45 or so. Elizabeth City and Chesapeake cooling to 74. In Virginia Beach, highly densely populated part of our viewing area, 73 as the kiddos are headed out. Looking ahead to 7 o'clock. Temperatures falling into the upper 60s, Chesapeake, Franklin, Wakefield, some of those inland areas. It will remain milder at the coast. Norfolk, Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, right around 73, down to 71 in Virginia Beach. Temperatures cooler, upper 60s for the eastern shore. As we go to 8 o'clock, now the temperatures are dropping mid-60s. Still very, very mild, but obviously that's a lot more detail than just putting up just a general thing. So I like to show the weather when we get into specific local forecasts a few different ways. That's one way we do it. All right, as we look ahead to Election Day, lots of folks wondering about this. Okay, what are we going to find? Is the weather going to be a hindrance and maybe knock down some of the numbers of people that actually show up to cast their votes? Based on early voting so far, I'd say that is highly unlikely. It is really just an unbelievably passionate election that we are headed to. Both sides, no matter who your candidate is, folks are feeling very passionate and feeling the need to get out and vote. So who's going to deal with some wet weather? Well, at a quick glance, you see the chances for wet weather from parts of Wisconsin and Michigan down through parts of the Ohio River Valley, parts of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, back down through the Mississippi River Valley. Looks to be quite wet as well, especially the lower Mississippi Valley down through East Texas. There could be some showers along the southeast coast. We'll look for that potentially as we go along. You could see some stray showers this area all the way down through Florida, parts of Georgia, one of the battleground states there, looking wet. I can tell you Pennsylvania looks good. Ohio, for the most part, looks pretty good. Michigan, another state that folks are going to be watching with the wet weather. Out west, Nevada and Arizona, two more key battleground states. Weather looks pretty cooperative. Up into Idaho, Oregon, and also Washington State, a little unsettled. You also have chances for rain up across Maine as you take a look at that in parts of New England. Boston should be okay, 71, 74, New York City, lots of folks heading out that way. 81 around Raleigh, Atlanta, for the most part, good, but chances for wet weather late. And again, New Orleans, mid-80s, Orlando, 85. Not too bad, but certainly warmer down across Florida. From Chicago to St. Louis, Little Rock, and Houston, chances for rain there. I've already touched on that. You see the temperatures there. Temperatures will be cooler in Dallas, but it should be dry. Oklahoma City looking pretty good. Omaha, 57 degrees. Maybe a wraparound shower earlier in the day. As we look out to the west, you're going to see more unsettled weather for the northwest U.S. Things looking pretty good for Southern California, San Fran, all the way down through L.A. Decent amount of sunshine, really, so most of California in great shape. Denver looking okay. Phoenix and Vegas, no problem. Salt Lake should be partly cloudy and cooler at 46. All right, currently we have our Priority Automotive Sky View looking good across the Elizabeth River. Time to talk tropics. There could be something brewing in the tropics. We only have 1 month left. Just one more month in the hurricane season. Then the calendar flips into December. We're typically good. Now, I will mention, just because the calendar says November 30 is here and we don't worry too much about it, we still keep a close eye on it at 13 News now, and you can bet your better meteorologists all across the country, especially in those areas heavily impacted by the tropics, they should be watching out of season as well. But officially, just 1 more month left. Could there be something brewing? Well, yeah, there could be. Now, let's talk about it. We've used up the names through the O name, Oscar. Patty is the next name on the list. It's unlikely we're going to see Patty develop in the main development region. This area here is looking pretty dry right now. Looks good in this part of the country, or this part of the ocean. Not seeing much. There are some clusters of showers and storms, but nothing that is well organized coming off the African coast. In the Gulf of Mexico, right now, things also looking pretty good. You've got some clusters of unsettled weather in here, but nothing that's really ramping up right now. Down into the Caribbean, though, this is an area that's looking a little bit different. So this area here is where we really do want to keep a closer eye, especially some of this convection that we're starting to see down in the southern part of the Caribbean. As you can see, the water temperatures are still very, very warm. You get water over 80 degrees, and that supports and even encourages tropical growth. Okay, you need those temperatures over 80 degrees. That fuels the tropical cyclones, and it gets them going. So you can see it is very, very warm down in the Caribbean still. The National Hurricane Center is identifying this area, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen over the next couple of days. Next couple of days, we should be good. But we do need to watch this part of the Caribbean because 3 to 5 days out, some of the models are developing something out there, and it could become a tropical system. So this area in here, we'll be watching. Now, what happens with this? Where does it go? You know, if something does develop, does it just kind of head northward? Does it head back into the Gulf? Does it head maybe a little farther west? I don't know. Does it head back out? Does it even develop? Does it head to the north and the northeast? There is a lot of question remaining about all of this. So again, it's not even a certainty that it's going to develop, but if it does develop, the models right now are not lockstep with the movement of this thing. Most likely it would head north, maybe up towards Jamaica as a rainmaker, a broad area of low pressure. If it were to tighten up, it could conceivably move to the northwest, possibly towards the Yucatan Peninsula, possibly into the Gulf. We just need to keep a close eye to things. But that's how we're looking right now, a 50% chance for development in that region. So you can bet we will continue to watch that very, very closely and let you know if anything does develop there. That's one of the big headlines we've been talking a lot about. All right, we're going to go back to the nation and talk about what's coming up next. Okay, you can see there's a cold front out there that's plodding along through the central U.S. Look at the temperature change behind that front over the last 24 hours. Wichita, 24 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. Dallas is off 14 degrees. St. Louis down 10. Omaha down 11. And Minneapolis 17 degrees cooler. Obviously, that front cooling things down, and we're going to find cooler weather across Hampton Roads as well as the system continues to roll. Now, I do want to mention, and I'll go ahead and keep using my pointer here to talk more about this. We do have, across the eastern part of the country, an area of high pressure spinning right here. And that's going to take this storm system, a lot of the energy, and kind of ride it up to the north of Hampton Roads and most of the southeast U.S. So you can see there might be a little bit of moisture in here on Friday. It's a possibility. This is one of the global models of GFS. It's not saying that, hey, this is the Futurecast radar, this is where it's going to rain or where it absolutely won't. But we do have these colors indicating where there's more moisture. So we've got high pressure here, and with more moisture, it's possible there might be a sprinkle or two at some point on Friday. The deeper moisture is going to be passing by to the north. As we get into the weekend, you get a cooler flow coming in from the north and the northwest. It's going to be breezy and cool. But once again, high pressure setting up right here over the eastern half of the country. So more unsettled weather over the weekend. This is early Sunday in the central U.S., and that's going to continue as we go into Monday with that high pressure sitting right here once again over our area in Hampton Roads in northeast North Carolina. So this is why if we make it through Friday with little rain, I don't think we see any rain until probably the middle to end of next week. There's election day. You can see some wind and rain, very unsettled for parts of Michigan. If the GFS model is correct, you can see some wet weather down around Florida. And just to show you the GFS, let's go ahead and take a look here. Remember that area I was talking about, potential development down in the Caribbean? This is where the GFS has it on Tuesday. So the GFS model does bring it north and then kind of brings it up across Cuba. So obviously this is something else we will want to keep very close tabs on as we go into next week. Right now things are looking good. Sunshine, clear skies for Halloween around the late morning and midday time. Highs today in Hampton Roads right around 80, 81 degrees. Another very warm day. Looking off to the north, temperatures upper 70s to near 80 on the peninsula. Mid 70s on the eastern shore. Outer Banks mid 70s as well. We have low 80s for northeast North Carolina. Out on the water today, things looking good right now, but a small craft advisory will go into place for the Chesapeake Bay later on this evening around 7 o'clock. So while the waves are only 1 to 2 feet right now, I do think we'll see things kicking up later on. Tonight's low, 67 degrees. Tomorrow, we're back up to 79. So another warm day as we start November. There is that 20% chance for a shower or two on Friday. Will it reach the airport? We'll have to see. It's possible. We'll see. Not a guarantee. It's certainly something that we will continue to monitor. Saturday night, you want to set those clocks back 1 hour. Remember, daylight saving time. And as I give you this reminder, I really want to stress the bottom of this screen here. Obviously, the clocks this weekend get set back. We get an extra hour of sleep. But the third line there that you see at the bottom, smoke and CO detectors, you've got to change those batteries, whether you think they need it or not. You know, the fire departments, the emergency managers, the Red Cross, everybody signs off on this. You know, you don't want to get caught thinking your batteries are okay and then they're not. That's a huge problem. So again, we want to make sure it's just a good practice to change them out. That way every 6 months you have new batteries and they should always be good to go for you, hopefully. And smoke detector safety, especially coming into the holidays where people tend to light more candles. Maybe you've got some scented candles. Folks used to light candles in some of the windows. I don't know that that's happening that much anymore. But it just seems like as people use fire for warmth, the incidences of fire go up. And even carbon monoxide poisoning can be a bigger issue as we close up the doors to stay warm through the winter. So very important with daylight saving time ending Saturday that folks take time to switch out those batteries, okay? Please do that. All right, looking ahead to Monday and Tuesday, we warm it back up. Election day looking good for Hampton Roads, and it looks like it's going to be warmer as well. So, again, hopefully you've enjoyed this. We're calling these segments, I was going with Weather Plus because I'm like, oh, it's Weather Plus more on different topics. But our marketing department said, hey, let's call it More with Moeller. We kind of like that, and it is more. I'm calling it a deeper dive into weather. When we have a lot going on across the country, whether it's severe storms, winter weather, tropics really fire up, you come find us right here at 13 News Now Plus, and we will have it for you. We'll also be doing a lot of live streaming on YouTube. It'll be an awesome way to stay up with the forecast. So again, we thank you so much for taking time to spend with me here. Look for more of these. I intend to do them right around 10:30 each morning. Monday through Friday. When I'm working here, I'll try to do these, and the folks that fill in for me, they'll be doing some as well, keeping you up to date, the very latest, as we dive in a little bit deeper and go more with Moeller. Guys, thank you so much. I want everybody to have a happy and safe Halloween. Celebrate safely and stay super alert around those trick-or-treaters tonight. Be careful out there, and we'll see you again next time.